of the Board of Trustees for Springfield Township, and we will begin our meeting as usual with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vintage real. All right.
Okay, will you read the roll?
Roll call. Mrs. Chapman?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mr. DeLauro?
Here.
We will jump into our items of business. I move to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve the minutes to date.
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Next, I move to approve payment of bills and payroll as prepared by the fiscal officer, subject to audit.
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Next, I move to approve the carryover of vacations for non-contract and contract personnel as authorized by our non-contract policy manual and pursuant to union contracts.
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Next, I move to approve the payment to Robert Constant for legal services rendered from July 1st, 2021 through December 15th, 2022 in the amount of $19,125 to be paid from the general fund line 1000-110-311-1009.
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Next, I move to approve the payment to Clemens, Nelson and Associates for professional services regarding labor negotiations in the amount of $5,191.25 and to be paid from Fund Line 1000-110-311-1008.
Second.
Who did that? Kelly? Joe? Roll call. Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman, do you have matters for the police department?
Are you skipping the table?
There's two more yet.
Oh, I even wrote that
I think you're
item,
reading-
but they
you're
didn't
reading
give me
from
the
wrong
revised.
agenda.
Okay, I move to remove Angela Fawcett from a position as a member of the Springfield Township Local Cable Board. I will confirm that Angela Fawcett no longer an employee of Springfield Township since termination of her employment on January 29, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Kelly?
Kelly.
Roll call. Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Next, I move to appoint Daniel Mitchell, a township resident, to a position as a member of the Springfield Township Local Cable Board to serve at the pleasure of the Springfield Township Board of Trustees.
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Next, Mr. DeLauro, no, Mrs. Chapman, you have matters for the
Yes.
police department.
I move to approve the payment to Swisscog in the amount of $70,470.74 for first quarter dispatching fees for 2023 and to be split between Fund 2081-210-360-1017, $42,282.44, and Fund 2281-230-360-1017 in the amount of $28,188.30.
I second it.
Roll call. Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
I move to approve the payment to Swisscog in the amount of $70,470. Oh, wait,
No,
I gotta go next.
okay.
I caught your.
Yep.
I move to approve the payment to Swisscom in the amount of $20,000 for our fourth installment of 5 for our capital contribution fee and to be split between Fund 2081-210-360-1017 for $12,000 and Fund 2281-230-360-1017 for $8,000.
I would second that.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes, I move to renew the term of Glenn King to the Board of Zoning Appeals for the period of 1/1/2023 to 12/31/2027.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Are there any other matters of business that the members of the board need to attend to before completion of our business for the calendar year 2022?
I just want to thank everybody for helping me in my first year. It's been really good.
And I want to say you've done a great job in your first year.
Thank you.
Active and enthusiastic and I think contributing.
And bossy.
Yeah, bossy.
Well, I wasn't going to mention that publicly, but
And I think the near sellout feels the same way. I mean, they're all here to see you wrap up your first year.
we hope you've enjoyed the job as much as we've enjoyed having you.
I know. Thank you.
So we will declare that there's no unfinished business for 2022. Let the record reflect that the business has been completed for this calendar year. As a result, we need to look at reorganizing for next year. And I think I turn that over to our secretary or our assistant.
Could I have a motion for chairman and vice chairman?
I would nominate Dean Young for chairman.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
And I promise to try to do a better job in the calendar year 2023. Is there a nomination for vice chair?
Joe, do you want to do it again?
Yeah, that's fine.
I would, if that is your motion, I would second that.
Kelly? Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes,
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
I enjoy having you as a backup, and you're a heartbeat away, you know.
Yes, I know. In your untimely demise, I will try to fill in and do my best, yes.
Wow.
I'm going to move that we approve the attached organizational resolution, which covers all the operational procedures for Springfield Township's Board of Trustees for the calendar year 2023. That is laid out in the 10 pages attached and will become a part of the minutes of this meeting. I don't think there's any great surprises. It's consistent with the way we've operated in the past years. And I move the adoption of that organizational resolution.
Read it off.
Did you want to read it aloud?
I would second that.
I think it's unnecessary to read it aloud.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
I would wish all of my colleagues, as well as our employees here attending and employees for the township, a prosperous and happy new year.
Same to you.
Thank you, same to you.
With that said, I'm going to move that we adjourn. Unless
Second.
there's something further that we need to speak about.
I have nothing. Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all.
Wrapped it up.